Hi, my name is Beth Heile here for Board Game Geek TV, and I'm sitting down with Stacy Buck. How are you?
Well, thank you. Good to see you, Beth.
And she's graciously come by to show us a game from her company, Let's Choose. And the first of two games that you're going to show us today is a Choice-a-quence.
Yes, it is. It's a fun game, I think, for kids. Can be adapted for kids who are in special ed, and so you can use it with older kids, although for typically developing kids, I would say probably, preschool into like second grade or so.
Well, and particularly, I know when we're done talking about this, we have a couple little fun details to share about how this game was developed and things, but we wanted to dive right in. But let's give a few nuts and bolts, like how many does this play, and then how long would a typical game take you?
Well, that's the beauty of Let's Choose. It's your choice, Beth. So really, you can play 1 or 2 rounds, or you can play for a half an hour. It's flexible, however you want to do it. And then in terms of how many people can play, it depends on which version you're playing. So if it's a concentration game, you could do it in a small group or just 2 people. If you're playing it as a game show, you can have a bigger audience, of course, of children playing. And today, one of the games we wanted to play was Takeaway. So we've played that with 4 people.
All right, well, let's, not to use the pun, take it away.
Okay, so in this game, you're going to look at your cards, and you're going to try and match a green choice card with an orange consequence card. And once you think you have a match, you set it down and you explain your match so we can talk about it and decide if we both agree on it or if there are other people playing as well. So if you don't have a match, you can either take a card from my hand or take one from the pile.
And I assume I'm drawing blind in both cases.
Exactly.
Well, I actually think I like the choice that I have very nicely, and if I can put down a combo here, that I can be playing nicely together, and the consequence of that would be having others want to play with me.
I totally agree. That's a good one, yes. Mm-hmm. So, all right, so let me see. I would have, let's see. I don't think I have one, so I'm going to take one from you. And I still don't have a match. Your turn.
Now, being left with only 2 cards, I think I will draw off the top of the deck. And I assume then that's the end of my turn, would just be my draw. Okay. So, no, I don't have a very good match, but I already drew, so.
Right. All right, so now I'm going to go, because I don't want you to go out, because once you go out, then it's the end of the game, and you already have a match and I have none. You would win. Let's see. All right, well, if you choose to be a sore loser, you might have to sit down and talk about what happened.
That's not fair! No, just kidding. Let's see. Well, I think I'm going to try stealing a card from you, because I still don't like what I've got over here. No, I still don't have very good. So we're even now at 4 and 4 cards. So.
Right. So you can keep playing. Do you want to keep playing, or do you want to go on and talk more about other?
Well, a question for you, actually. Let's say if we were playing with a bigger group of people, and someone at our table says, well, I don't agree that would be a natural consequence of that action, then what?
So I've done this with, I think they were like 3rd and 4th graders, actually, at a school, and that did come up. Part of it was that there was a issue between those 2 boys. And so that played into this nicely, right? Because now you're choosing, we can use that language, you're choosing to kind of pick on this other boy. What's your consequence going to be, right? So we have to decide now as a group while we're playing the game, because it's kind of not fun in the game anymore. So that came up. But the other piece that came up when they did get back on track with it was that they did have some good ideas about it, right? So it kind of builds in those nice language skills where you have to start to explain your reasoning, and once you get their reasoning, sometimes it did change other people's minds to say, oh, I get it, and sometimes other people said, no, sorry, and you have to take it back into your hand.
Yeah, so essentially a little discussion and then majority rules.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned you have a couple other different flavors of rules that you can go through. Do you want to just describe quickly what that might look like?
Sure. So in its original format, this was a game show. So as a game show, we would put out for the classroom, let's say, 4 choice cards initially, just so kids can get used to it. And then you'd put out some consequence cards as well. And I'm not going through them to see if they match right now. But then you'd call up 2 contestants. You'd have your pretend microphone, it could be a pencil, whatever, and you have 2 contestants come up from the classroom or from your house, wherever you are, and say, come on down, and I'd say, Beth, please pick a choice card, and you'd pick one, and then your partner would have to find a consequence card that matches. Right? So they'd have to talk about it, they'd have to agree on it, and then once that happened, then they have to kind of look at each other and say, okay, well, Beth, if you choose to not share, what might happen?
I'm guessing that, well, we'll go back and use one that we had used before, having others be angry with you for not sharing.
So we'd have to look at each other and ask and answer that question, so it builds in some of those social skills as well.
Okay, and so we have a takeaway game show. You had mentioned there was also a concentration.
Yeah, so again, I mean, depending on the age and the abilities of the students, you can put down all the cards, you can put down, a smaller field of the cards. And again, it's matching a choice card with a consequence card. Everyone has to agree that it would match, right? And so when you're done, that you might not have all of the cards go away because there might not be all the matches unless you've really taken the time as the adult to set it up that way. And then the other one is a pile-up game. So you try and see, you get a choice card, and then all the consequence cards are out, and you try and see who can get the most matches, the biggest pile of consequences that go with that choice.
I can see a lot of big personalities wanting to act some of these out.
Yes, exactly. So those are some of the extension activities that we recommend. You can do role plays. You can talk about characters in books with these and what choices and consequences happen with those characters, writing assignments, and so on.
Now, of course, in the interest of full disclosure, we should mention that the whole reason I had met you was at a little meet and greet, and you had said, oh, hey, I'm a speech therapist. And I said, oh, my gosh, so am I, which we're a pretty rare breed of speech therapists who like to play board games.
Yeah.
So now just give me a little background into that this game really sort of came about as wanting to address needs as a therapist, not just as a board game player.
No, that's true. So I was working in a classroom with my partner, Lisa Mailey, and we were doing a lot of those token kinds of systems where if you behave, you get a sticker, and as long as we were there, it worked. But if we weren't there, it didn't work. And after going to some different conferences on different kinds of discipline management kinds of tools, Lisa had come up with an idea about this idea of choices and consequences, and I said, okay, well, let's build into it these language pieces, and we played it every day, and it's really amazing. Like, I've played it with my nieces and my nephews, and kids are always like, wow, this is a fun game, and then I say, well, Aunt Stacy made it with a friend, and they're like, what?
And they're doing work, and they don't realize it, which is the best thing to happen in the classroom ever.
Exactly, and at home, yeah.
Now, are you guys, if people are watching this, are interested in purchasing this, where would they go to find the ability to go buy this?
Our website, which is lets-choose.com.
Okay, because that's always, here we've given you a great taste of a educational game that they don't realize is educational, and so we always want to make sure that we know where to buy it. Last thing I'd love to ask you about is how did you pay out for an artist? Was this something you guys developed yourself?
Well, originally we used board maker symbols, which you might be familiar with. I'm not sure other people are. But yeah, we did find a graphic designer who we really like now. And we think that the pictures are applicable for younger kids as well as older kids, so that if you're working with a special needs population and they're older, they're not thinking these are too babyish.
Yeah, and I would say the special needs professional me too is also enjoying that they are very clean and yet pleasant to look at.
That's exactly what we were going for. Thank you. Yes.
No problem. I know that's a bit of a picky sticking point for me with all the games behind us too, that it's pleasant to look at, but not too much.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Hooray.
All right. Hey, we hit it on all targets today. Well, Stacy, thank you so much for coming in and showing us Choice-a-quence, and we certainly hope that you guys start to see some new and exciting frontiers mixing therapeutic concepts with games.
Great. Thank you so much.